For years, Abby and Brittany Hensel have captivated the world with their unique bond as conjoined twins, defying the odds and living life on their own terms. From their childhood to adulthood, they've faced challenges that would break many, yet they've remained inseparable, united in their love for each other. But now, the unexpected has arrived. The FBI has issued a chilling warning. Their health is at risk, and the future they once took for granted is uncertain. Abby and Brittany, who once seemed invincible, are now facing an unimaginable crisis that could tear them apart forever. In this documentary, we explore the truth behind the looming health threat and what this could mean for their future. Will they overcome the unimaginable? Or is this the end of their incredible journey? The early struggles, navigating life as conjoined twins. Abby and Brittany Hensel were born on March 7, 1990, in a small town in Minnesota, and from the moment they entered the world, their lives were destined to be anything but ordinary. The first shock came not just from their rare condition, but from the sheer realization that their lives would be inextricably intertwined in ways most people could never imagine. These dicephalic parapagus twins shared a single body from the waist down, yet each had their own fully functioning head and brain. This means that, while each controls one side of their body, their lives would need to work in harmony, every single second of every single day for the rest of their lives. For Abby and Brittany, this was the only life they knew, but that didn't make it any easier. From the very beginning, every movement, every decision, every small act of coordination required immense effort, and most of it was learned the hard way. Imagine trying to learn how to crawl, walk, or even sit up when your brain only controls one side of your body. It wasn't something that could be figured out overnight. It was a slow, painstaking process that took years of practice, trial, and error. Every fall, every bruise, and every frustration was a part of the long journey that defined their childhood. As babies, their movements were awkward and disjointed. To an outsider, the sight of two heads atop a single body may have seemed alien or almost surreal. Yet, to Abby and Brittany, it was simply their reality. They had no other point of reference for what life could be like, and so they adapted. The struggle to coordinate even basic movements was monumental. Crawling, walking, and, later on, riding bikes or swimming were activities that required impeccable synchronization. While one twin controlled the left side of the body, the other managed the right, with both needing to work together in perfect harmony. The first few years were frustrating, but every new movement, every new success was a victory. Building coordination, a dance of two people in one body. Coordination became their second language, and it was something they honed over time. Every step, every gesture, every task had to be done in tandem. Think about the complex physical act of simply walking. One twin controls the left leg, the other controls the right leg. Each twin needs to move in sync with the other to avoid tripping or losing balance. It's not as simple as taking a step with your left foot, then your right. For Abby and Brittany, it was about trusting each other's instincts and responding in real time to the other's body movements. The struggle to learn these movements wasn't just physical, it was mental too. At first, they didn't know what to do with the body they shared. Their minds were separate, yet they had to become a single unit, especially as they grew. The world around them might have seen them as two individuals, but the reality was they were anything but. They had to learn how to communicate with each other constantly, ensuring that their minds were always in sync. One twin might want to turn left, while the other might want to go right. One might want to run ahead, and the other might want to stop. They had to compromise in ways most siblings will never have to consider. But even beyond the physical act of walking, there were more complex activities that required years of painstaking effort and practice. Things like playing volleyball were particularly difficult. Picture it, two people sharing one body, trying to coordinate each arm's movements in a sport where precision and timing are key. At first, they would often miss the ball, fall over, or struggle to get the timing just right. The first games were messy and far from graceful. But with time, Abby and Brittany began to get the hang of it. Their bond, as unusual as it was, became their greatest strength. They adapted, learning to use each other's strengths and compensating for each other's weaknesses. This teamwork wasn't just about playing a game, it was about surviving in a world that wasn't designed for them, overcoming physical limitations. From sports to school. As Abby and Brittany entered school, their challenges continued, but so did their resilience. The world wasn't built for them. They didn't fit neatly into any category, and their physical differences often attracted stares, questions, and unwelcome attention. But their parents, especially their mother, always instilled in them the importance of leading a normal life. They were encouraged to face the world confidently, to participate in sports, to make friends, and to pursue an education, just like any other child. At school, their classmates learned quickly that Abby and Brittany were not to be treated as curiosities. They were bright, witty, and talented individuals with distinct personalities, even though they shared a body. One twin, Abby, was more serious, often focused on numbers and academics, while Brittany was more carefree and creative, loving music and the arts. It was this balance between the two that made them so unique, but it also meant that even the simplest decisions, like what to wear or what to have for lunch, became moments of negotiation and compromise. They became very adept at handling questions about their condition. Some of these were intrusive, awkward, and downright rude, but Abby and Brittany had a unique way of responding. They learned to educate others without being defensive. Their calm, self-assured demeanour made it clear that they weren't looking for sympathy or pity. They wanted to be treated like everyone else, and they worked hard to show the world that they were capable of doing everything anyone else could. They didn't let their physical differences hold them back. They played sports, joined clubs, and made lasting friendships. And through it all, they continued to teach the world around them about the importance of inclusivity and understanding. The transition to adulthood. Facing new challenges. As they moved into adulthood, Abby and Brittany's lives continued to unfold in unexpected ways. They graduated from Bethel University with degrees in education and began their careers as teachers. The world had already witnessed their extraordinary bond, but now they were ready to prove that they could excel in the professional world too. They began teaching in schools, inspiring their students with their resilience and creativity. Their students, at first fascinated by their unique condition, soon came to admire them for their knowledge, dedication, and passion for teaching. Despite sharing a salary, Abby and Brittany found great joy in their work. They loved the opportunity to shape young minds and foster a sense of curiosity and learning in their students. The feedback they received was overwhelmingly positive, and they quickly became beloved figures in their school communities. But life, as always, had its challenges. In 2021, when Brittany married Josh Bowling, the media once again turned their focus on the twins. Suddenly, their personal lives were thrust back into the spotlight, sparking a renewed public interest in their health and relationships. While Abby and Brittany had always managed to keep their personal lives relatively private, this new chapter brought with it increased scrutiny. The health challenges they faced continued to evolve, and despite their best efforts to stay positive and keep moving forward, their bodies were beginning to show signs of wear. Years of surgeries and medical procedures had taken their toll, and new health scares began to surface. These were no longer just small problems they could navigate through. The reality of their situation was becoming more pressing, and the fear that something was seriously wrong was beginning to seep in. Health scares and the looming uncertainty. As Abby and Brittany entered this new phase of life, they found themselves grappling with health concerns that neither of them was prepared for. Over the years, they had both undergone multiple surgeries to correct issues related to their shared body, including procedures to straighten their spines and make room for better breathing. Yet, as they approached their 30s, new complications began to surface that threatened to destabilize their already fragile health. The medical team that had cared for them since their birth was now deeply concerned about the long-term effects of their shared organs, especially as they aged. Their liver, kidneys, and other internal organs, all shared, were beginning to show signs of stress. They had already faced surgeries that risked their health, and now the possibility of further medical intervention was becoming more likely. With these new health issues looming over them, Abby and Brittany faced their toughest challenge yet. The world watched as the once invincible duo, known for their strength and resilience, struggled with questions about their future. Could their bodies hold up? Would they need to make a drastic decision to survive? The road ahead, embracing the future with uncertainty. As their story continues to unfold, one thing is certain. Abby and Brittany have always defied the odds. They've lived a life that most people can't even begin to imagine, and they've done so with grace, dignity, and a sense of humour that has inspired millions. But now, as they face new health challenges, the path ahead is uncertain. Will they continue to conquer the odds, as they've always done? Or is this the moment where their extraordinary journey takes a turn no one expected? Only time will tell. But Abby and Brittany have already shown that no matter what the future holds, they will face it together. Through it all, their story is more than just one of survival. It's a testament to the power of love, resilience, and the human spirit. And no matter what happens next, Abby and Brittany will continue to inspire others to live life fully, no matter the challenges they face. The art of communication and collaboration. Abby and Brittany's ability to communicate effortlessly is a testament to their lifelong bond. For most people, talking is a solo endeavour, but for Abby and Brittany, communication has become a finely honed skill that is more instinctive than anything else. They've been talking to each other, often in rapid back-and-forth exchanges, since they could speak. Their conversations range from quick remarks to detailed plans for the day, and they manage to anticipate each other's thoughts and intentions with remarkable ease. One speaks while the other listens, and then they switch roles. This natural rhythm has been developed over decades, especially as both have learned to work together in every aspect of their lives. As teachers, Abby and Brittany bring this synchronized communication to the classroom. They're not just teachers in the traditional sense. They're partners in every lesson they impart. When one of them addresses the class, the other keeps an eye out for students who might be struggling with the material or drifting off track. Their constant back and forth provides their students with the unique advantage of having two teachers for the price of one, with each bringing a different perspective to the lesson. They play off each other's strengths, creating an environment where their students are always engaged. While this may sound seamless, it requires an incredible amount of effort behind the scenes. They have to plan meticulously for every class, ensuring that both are on the same page. They can't afford to miss a step, because their classroom operates as a single unit with two voices. They've developed an almost telepathic ability to read one another's cues, yet each day requires constant negotiation and compromise. Growing up, under scrutiny, a childhood of challenges. But the journey hasn't always been easy. Growing up as conjoined twins was far from the fairy tale some might imagine. While many people would envy the closeness they share, Abby and Brittany also experience the harshness of being different in a world that often isn't kind to those who don't fit into its narrow mould. School, for example, was tough. Kids don't always understand the unusual, and Abby and Brittany weren't exempt from the teasing, whispering, and staring that comes with being seen as other. For years, they endured the uncomfortable feeling of being different, of being examined by curious eyes, as if they were some sort of spectacle. At a young age, Abby and Brittany learned to develop a thick skin, and they had to mature quickly in order to navigate the world around them. It wasn't just the kids at school who caused them problems. Even adults would often whisper about them as they passed by. The public gaze wasn't just annoying, it was isolating. The world couldn't decide whether they were a novelty or whether they should simply be ignored. Either way, they faced challenges that others their age didn't have to contend with. Despite these hurdles, they remained resilient, determined not to let their circumstances define them. For Abby and Brittany, this scrutiny built walls. They had to create boundaries between themselves and the world in order to protect their mental and emotional well-being. The constant questioning and judgment from others taught them the importance of self-reliance and independence, despite the fact that they were physically bound together. The complexity of independence. Speaking of independence, it's a concept that presents a unique set of challenges for Abby and Brittany. While most people think of independence as a natural part of growing up, for them, it's a constant negotiation. They may share one body, but they have two individual minds, each with its own ideas, preferences, and desires. This requires a level of communication and compromise that most people would never even dream of. It's not just about physical independence either. Abby and Brittany are both fiercely determined to live their lives as independently as possible, but their shared existence means that every decision, big or small, has to be made together. There's no storming off after an argument or giving each other space in the way that most people can. If one is upset, the other has to deal with it, and if they're not on the same page, things simply don't work. Imagine trying to make even the smallest decision when you're not just considering your own needs, but those of someone else who shares your body. That's the kind of compromise that Abby and Brittany deal with every single day. And yet, despite the unique challenges, they've made it work. They've learned to respect each other's individuality while still working together to navigate their shared existence. It's not always easy, but over the years, they've built a bond so strong that it's impossible to break. They've figured out how to live as individuals while functioning as a team, and this is something that they've taken with them into every aspect of their lives, whether it's teaching, socializing, or making decisions for their future. Living under a microscope. The perils of public attention. One of the most exhausting aspects of Abby and Brittany's life is the constant attention they receive from the public. The world is fascinated by them, and while they may have grown accustomed to being the subject of curiosity, it's still something they have to contend with every time they leave the house. Whether they're walking down the street, attending a concert, or simply hanging out with friends, they're always on display. There's never a moment where they can blend into a crowd or simply be anonymous. This constant attention is emotionally draining. People stare, point, and sometimes even ask intrusive questions. It's human nature to be curious about something unusual, but for Abby and Brittany, it's an exhausting and constant reminder that they will never be able to experience life in the same way most people do. The stares are a daily part of their existence, and while they've learned to ignore them to some degree, it's still an uncomfortable reality they face. But in a strange way, it's also something they've come to accept as part of their shared experience. Abby and Brittany have learned to deal with this attention by being unapologetically themselves. They don't try to hide or shy away from the public's gaze. Instead, they've embraced it in a way that allows them to live authentically. They've learned to not take the stares personally, even though the sensation of being on display is something that most people can't begin to understand. The struggle for balance, a constant negotiation. Every day for Abby and Brittany is a careful balancing act. While they may share one body, they are individuals with different personalities, interests, and goals. One might enjoy reading, while the other prefers watching movies. One might want to go to a particular restaurant, while the other has a different preference. They have to find ways to meet in the middle, compromise, and make decisions together. This isn't just about finding common ground with each other, though. It's about balancing their own needs and desires within the context of their shared existence. They have to negotiate constantly, not just with each other, but also with the world around them. Whether it's choosing what to do on a weekend, deciding where to go on vacation, or even how to handle a disagreement, the negotiations never stop. What's remarkable is how they've managed to do this without losing their sense of self. In a way, they've created a system where they both have a say in the decisions that affect their shared life. They've learned to prioritize each other's needs without sacrificing their individuality. This process isn't easy, and it's something they have had to work on continuously throughout their lives, their aspirations and dreams for the future. Despite the many challenges Abby and Brittany face, they also have big dreams for the future. They've always been driven, and they want to continue pursuing their careers as teachers. Their success in the classroom speaks volumes about their abilities, but they've also expressed interest in furthering their education, perhaps pursuing advanced degrees or specialising in subjects outside of math. Their ambitions are just as legitimate as anyone else's, and their shared existence doesn't hold them back from striving for more. They've already proven that they can work seamlessly together in a professional setting, and they want to continue doing so. Their teaching careers have allowed them to use their unique perspective to make a positive impact on the lives of their students. The lessons they impart aren't just about academics, they're about teaching respect, understanding, and collaboration. They've made it their mission to show that working together, despite differences, is the key to success. And they do this in a way that is both inspiring and practical. Overcoming obstacles, driving to success. One of the most monumental achievements in Abby and Brittany's journey was learning to drive. For most people, this milestone is a rite of passage, a moment of freedom and independence. But for Abby and Brittany, learning to drive was a monumental challenge that required them to coordinate perfectly and communicate constantly. It wasn't just about passing the driving test. It was about learning to navigate the complexities of driving while sharing one body. Through sheer determination and trust in one another, Abby and Brittany passed their driving test. This accomplishment speaks volumes about their teamwork and perseverance. They prove that with the right attitude and commitment, anything is possible. Even the most daunting challenges can be overcome when you work together as a team.